Good morning and welcome to our thought for the week. Well, I'm sure many of you have been inspired by Emma Raducanu, who took that amazing championship there in the tennis. And it was just amazing. She's very inspiring. She had to play 3 qualifying games to even get into the competition. And then she went on, of course, to play in the final. And of course, she now is the US Open champion. And at 18, it's a huge accomplishment, isn't it? And I'm sure many of you, if you watched it, said it was a brilliant game of tennis as well. But I heard an interview with her afterwards and I thought it was very interesting because they said to her, what are you going to do next? And I suppose they were expecting to hear about her celebrations or about what other competitions she was planning to enter. And her words are very interesting. She said it's time to rest and recover. And I thought that was really interesting because as a sportsman, sometimes people don't actually say that they're going to take the opportunity to rest. And I'm sure for many of us at the minute, we feel like a bit of a rest, don't we? I think at this stage, we kind of thought that everything was going to be a bit better and that we weren't going to be having to deal with COVID in perhaps the way that we are dealing with it at the minute. And I think maybe we're all a bit tired of it and we're all maybe in need of a rest. Some of us who've just returned to school, like myself, are maybe already finding that it's quite exhausting because you're having other challenges as well as dealing with everything else that you usually do in your workload. I'm sure for some of your children and young people, they're maybe finding it the same, that there's just a lot more to contend with apart from just their schoolwork. And for those of you who are still working at home, I'm sure you're looking for a rest from that. And even those of you who have returned to work, I'm sure you're just waiting for another rest and a break and holiday. And for those of you who are retired and maybe hoping to enjoy that or maybe finding that you do still just need a bit of a rest because things just aren't the way that you expected them to be. And it is difficult. I think we're all in a time when we do need to rest and recover. And of course, where can we go to find comfort but to the Bible? And in Matthew 11 verse 28, Jesus tells us that he will be our rest. He says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And I'm sure many of us at the minute are feeling weary and burdened and in need of that rest. And Jesus says that he will provide that for us. If we dive back into the Old Testament, we can hear there in Exodus 33 verse 14, whenever God was sending Moses out as his leader, whenever he was telling him that he was going to have to lead the Israelites to a new land, he didn't just command him to do. What he said to him is, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest. He promised him not only to be with him, but that he would also provide him with the rest that he would need to lead those people. And that is what we need, isn't it? We need rest. And God and Jesus will provide that comfort and that rest for us if we draw close to them, even in times of difficulty, as many of us are maybe finding at the moment. And if we look on in Matthew 11 into verse 29, Jesus then gives us a bit more explanation. He says, take my yoke and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble, and you will find rest for yourselves. So Jesus is telling us that sometimes the world's yoke, that strap that went across those oxen that Jesus was using as an example here, the world's yoke was too heavy, too much for us. But he said, if you take mine, I am gentle and I will help you through it and you will be able to find that rest for yourselves. Isn't that amazing that if we rely on Jesus and if we take on what he tells us to do, that we will be able to find more rest and more peace with him? Because what the world asks us to do can sometimes just feel too much. But if we give that up to God, then he will help us to find the rest that we need. But of course, Emma Raducanu, being a great sports person, didn't just say that she was going to rest and recover. Her final part of that sentence was, then we go again. And of course, isn't that what God wants us to do as well? He will provide us with that rest and that sustenance that we need, but he does want us to go again. As in Exodus, he was telling Moses he would provide him with that rest and his presence would be with him. He still wanted Moses to go. He still wanted Moses to lead his people. He still wanted Moses to do that job for him. And when Jesus was talking in Matthew, he wanted his disciples and for us to understand that he would give us that yoke to carry that would be less and would be gentle and humble, but he still wants us to move forward and to go on for him. And so we must find that rest and recovery time with God, but we must use that then to keep pushing onwards, to keep going in this world that is difficult at the moment. But with God's help and strength, we can do it. And I'm sure we will see many more great things from Emma as she plays some more fantastic tennis. And I'm sure we'll see her winning some more championships on her way. But what does God have in store for us? If we take that time to rest and recover with him, what things will he then lead us on to do? What will we be able to go forward and achieve for him with his blessing? I pray that you will draw close to God and feel that rest and recovery time with him. And I pray that God will then help you to move forward and to keep going and to use his strength to carry on. And I pray that he will bless you through this week and onwards. And thank you for listening.